Welcome to Geek Out Virtual Con, the replay of our special 2-day live streaming event, April 11th through 12th, 2020. Our special guests today include Lucy Saxton-Quinn, Head of Marketing, and Paul Mayze, the Managing Director at Avid Games. And they're here to talk about Q, Cards, the Universe, and Everything. But first, we're having a meet and greet with sci-fi author and assistant editor for ICC Independent Creators Connection magazine, Bill McSciFi McCormick.
And for everybody who newly subscribed with The Legend of the Traveling Tardis, thank you. We hope you enjoy all the episodes, guys.
Hey, thanks so much, ladies, for joining. Christian,
thank you.
Thanks again, bud. Hopefully we can have y'all on again soon sometime. And Bill McSciFi. How you doing this morning, sir?
With his dungeon.
I have my coffee. I've got vodka in the fridge. I'm doing good, actually.
Hey, the essentials of life. The essentials of life.
A friend of mine is a rabbi. He said the new commandment is, I am the Lord thy God. There's a time for coffee. There's a time for booze. And that's the only time you have anymore.
Well, that works for me. Bill, we had you on yesterday, but of course we've got a lot of new viewers today. And so explain to everyone who you are, what you do, where you come from, and where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Well, 58 years ago, I exploded from a womb. We don't need to go back that far. I'm from Chicago. I'm a science fiction writer. My real name is Bill McCormick. Amazon screwed up my author page and it made me Bill McSciFi. So I stole that because they screwed everything up. They actually had me writing country music, which I don't do. But we got that all fixed, and then I became Bill McSciFi, branded the web. I got the website and the Instagram and Facebook and everything else all done. I'm a science fiction author. I've got a trilogy of original stuff out called The Brittle Riders. You can see that here. I've got 5 different comic book series going on right now. I've got 2 new novels coming out this year. I didn't write them all this year. I wrote them previously, and they finally got published. One is called Gopri of the Mists, and that answers the musical question that no one asked: what would happen if the Brittle Riders was set in India? And the other one is called Splice, that's a fascinating story all on its own. We don't have time for it, but I was hired to look at a comic book. I ended up getting hired to write a movie. And when I finished with the movie, we spun back around, and then they had me write a novel based on the movie I'd written. And the novel's coming out before the movie, but so we optioned it backwards, but we got it done. And right now the novel's in beta read, so if anybody here wants to read it, hit me up after the show, and I'll happily send you a PDF for your reading and entertainment. So it's a brief one, too. It's only about 70,000 words, which for me is like a Post-it note because I write long stuff.
Gotcha. Where can they hit you up to get a copy of that, Bill?
Oh, even if you go right, oops, you took me off there. All right, you go to BillMcSciFi.com. There's a contact button. You can just go here. This is where it is. Go here and just click on contact and send me an email. Or you go to Bill McSciFi on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. I'm on all of them, and I'll happily send it to you. Anywhere you can find Bill McSciFi on social media, you'll find me. It's pretty straightforward.
So you didn't have any desire to take Amazon up on the offer and start writing some country music, huh? No,
actually, the thing of it is there's several guys named Bill McCormick. There's Bill McCormick, a sports writer who works with Sports Illustrated, and he's a nice guy, actually. And he and I have a friend, Moira McCormick, in common, and none of us are related to anybody else except by blood. And then there's another Bill McCormick who writes theology, although I think he went to jail or something because all his stuff was just scoured off the web. And then there's another Bill McCormick who he writes country music, and then there's a Bill McCormick who writes kind of like about equestrian things, anything to do with ponies. And then there's me. So when they switched my name up to Bill McSciFi to try and fix one wrong, I was like, cool, I can keep that. I'll work with that. Now I'm no longer Bill McCormick in the herd. I'm Bill McSciFi, unique and alone. And I made it, it's been working. So,
yeah, that was kind of a fortuitous because, I mean, like my name, Matthew Harris, you go and look that up, and there's a ton of writers out there with Matthew Harris, and you even put the K in there for the initial, and there's still a ton of Matthew K. Harrises. And it can make it hard for fans to find you. These days, it's a little easier compared to, 5-10 years ago on the internet. when you would have to go and dig, several pages deep into Google to find the person that you wanted when they had a common name. There was something I had marked on your profile. I just wanted to ask you. Now, you started out in radio. Is that correct?
I actually started. Yeah, I started out back in 1980. I was on the Rock of River Grove, WRRG, all rock, all night, all day. I was a DJ, and we had to talk like that. It was in the contract, and so I did that for a few years, and then I worked for Radio Ambiente Antena Juanas for a while on Español. Okay. In Tijuana. That was fun. And then the Mexican government put in an order that only Mexican nationals could be in the media, so I got canned. And I came back and I worked for WYTZ here in Chicago, which was ABC FM and Z95. And I did a local music show there and beat of Chicago and did that from 86 to 91. Did some other guest stuff. And then now from 2010 to date, I've been doing a weekly radio show on the local Fox affiliate called The Big Wake Up Call with Ryan Gatenby. As he's the host, and I'm just the dude who wanders by once a week and waves at people on the radio. Because that's really effective doing visual jokes on the radio.
Right.
But yeah, I did start there, and I wrote for music magazines in the 80s, and I wrote for sports journals late 90s and all the 2000. I've been kind of all over the place, There's an old Indian expression, Hindu Indian, that says every man should live 5 lives. And I think, I'm pretty much on my 5th one now and see where it goes.
I hear you there. And, we're both up here in the gray areas. And there's days that I feel a lot older than my years. That's for sure. But Bill, I asked Alan Baxter yesterday, and I want to ask you, anytime that an author, a published author is on, they get asked the question, what's the number one tip that you can share for writing? And of course, inevitably the first answer is always, you have to write. You have to get it out of here, get it on the paper. And then, what I like to ask is, besides that, what would be your second number one tip to those, because there's a lot of them out here that are geeks and fans of Geek Insider, that they are, budding writers, budding comic book writers, budding novelists. And so what would be your tip?
I think my biggest tip would be get eyeballs on stuff. I know some writers like, nobody can read my stuff because it's copywritten and no one is going to steal it and everything. Fuck that. I get beta readers. I have, for example, the Splice book. I wrote it. Then the publishing company went back and did a quick buff on it. Then we went to an editor, a guy named Alan Chickering, who did a great job on the book. And now we're sending it out to beta readers. And I got like 20 people who are reading it. And if, like I said, anyone here who wants to read it, I want it. Because if I miss something now, I can fix it. Right. When it's sitting in a store and someone's paying $15.99 for it, I can't fix that. So I want to fix it now. And you have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to accept that not everything you do is perfect. Not everything you do is a gift from God. You write these stories, and I've had it happen. When I wrote The Brittle Writers, I was talking about it yesterday. I got to about the end of book 1 and realized I'd made a massive mistake with one of the characters and in a plot hole. Now, I could either go back and backfill and pray to God nobody really noticed, or do what I did, which was erase 80,000 words and redo the entire 3/4 of the book. And then have that end up only being chapter 1, because I ended up doing 300,000 words to make the thing work. My publisher hates me, but loves me. And now The Brittle Writers is it's out digitally, and it's coming out in paperback, or hard, half hard, whatever they call that, as an omnibus. So you can literally, if you want it, you can buy the 1,200-page version of The Brittle Writers. It's all one big chapter. So just don't put a page break on chapter 12, because there is none. It's one big story. It's a very linear story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. People they start out living and they end up dead. And so it's kind of final.
And I think, Bill, you can actually attest with it as too. You have to pick the right criticism, because if somebody just comes up and says, like sometimes on my show, "You suck," wow, thanks, moving on. But if they literally give you a criticism, you can either take it or leave it. I mean, like a detail. Okay, this is what I found weird about your book, or this is what I like about your book. But you actually have to take the criticism that's constructive, as the criticism that's just bleh.
Well, a really good example of that, yesterday I got a critique back on a short story that I'd written, and it was rejected. And the person who rejected it wrote me a really lengthy reason for it. In other words, they really liked the story. They liked the elements of the story. They just didn't think I'd put them together well. Okay, that's a valid criticism. I think my favorite criticism that it absolutely had no value whatsoever, some guy wrote and he goes, "There's animals in it. I don't like animals." Fuck.
What?
No animals.
Right?
I hate to disappoint you about 3/4 of the literature that's out there, but at least
stay away from George Orwell, then, I guess.
Exactly.
Right? That's exactly what I was thinking. No Animal Farm for you, buddy. So, Bill, one thing that going back to some of the guests yesterday, somebody said that, or another author said a big thing to do is do a lot of reading, get in, especially in your genre. Do you get a chance to do a lot of reading? Because I don't ever have time.
Yeah, I make time for reading, actually. But it's funny, I heard that, to do reading your genre. That's actually what I don't do. An author years and years ago told me, a very famous author, we're now pretty good friends, but told me, he said, every story's been written except yours. Write that one. And one of the things he told me was learn to write in different styles. Learn to write a business proposal. Learn to write porn. Learn to write comedy. Learn to write all of it. Because then when you're writing your story, you're bringing all these elements. You're not going to write porn for a living. You're not going to write business letters for a living. You're not going to be a copywriter for a living. The lady yesterday was. But the point is that you can bring these elements to play, and when you need a scene where the person has to do something or has to explain something or has to be involved with something, it isn't just you guessing at it. You now know. And that's been, I think, the best piece of advice I ever got. I've become a fan of authors way outside my genre. I'm a big Judy Blume fan, believe it or not,
Wow.
And I'm never going to be a lesbian or a cowgirl, but I really like her stuff, and just an incredible writer. And, and I'm a big Tom Clancy fan, and I'm never going to be a hardcore Republican who believes in a worldwide unified CIA. That's not going to happen. But I think he's an amazing writer. And so I learn, I learn from these people, and I learn what they're doing, and go on with my life. But I never want to limit myself to just what's in front of me or what sci-fi is. Because even in sci-fi, I mean, if you look at my stuff, The Brittle Riders is a multiverse based on or a universe based on genetic manipulation gone wrong. Basically, it's Frankenstein's story with the flip that the monster wins, and then what happens next. Only the monsters live. Legends Parallel is a story about a multiverse, but it's based on the original math from Hugh Everett III from 1949 to 1954, where he posited that the multiverse broke apart at the Big Bang, and that there may be quantum variations, to make like an evil Bill McCormick, or if maybe I'm the evil Bill McCormick. There's a nice one out there, I don't know, but that doesn't really come into play. And instead, in this version of it, there's all these Earths, and only some of them evolved humans. Others, different things evolved there. Some maybe no sentient life whatsoever. So we took that and made that the basis of Legends Parallel. Hybrid Zero is about a multiverse way in the future, where violence is no longer socially acceptable at any level, and it ends up with a family of assassins have to save the day. So that's, fun, and you get to play around with that. But everything's different, and everything requires different math. It requires different knowledge. It requires me knowing more than just my little universe. And I try and make stuff when I write these things, like Splice, for example, is very military based, and I'm not in the military, nor have I been. But when I was researching The Brittle Riders, I interviewed a lot of people in the military so I could make the battle scenes accurate. I didn't just want to copy and paste something out of a textbook. And one of the things I learned was you interview the nurses and the doctors who've been in battle, because they can tell you what the effects of battle really are. They will tell you stories that'll curl your toenails. When they're like, this 18-year-old boy, his intestines were hanging below his nuts, and they tried to put him back together so he could go fight again.
Right.
when you start getting stories like that, now you can bring those stories to play in your writing. And I did. And, I've had people who are in the military become amazed when they find out that I'm not, that I never have been. That I was, I spent my youth as a touring musician, playing bands and doing radio. And I know, it was basically rock and roll, cocaine, and groupies, man. That's how I got through my youth. And God, I'm out with cocaine.
Not exactly in that order. Anyway.
And what's this on your bio about the rainbow-haired goddess who keeps waking up in your bed?
Her name is Kim, and she's still here. Actually, she's watching our Sunday Easter service on the TV in the front room. We both go to the same church. She's an amazing woman. She's smart. She's funny. She's like, you wake up and you're happy, and I found her by accident. We met on Facebook, and we went to a bar together, and she was 2 hours late, so I was pretty well hammered when she got there, and I sobered up enough to put together words, and she decided to stick around, and we almost got arrested for public indecency, and we've never been apart ever since. There's a make a cute meet.
Right.
There's your meet cute story today.
Together, sticks.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing on that.
Christian, did you have any questions for Bill?
No, at the moment. I meant, I guess, as being a writer, how do you stay? What is your methodology of staying focused? Because that's been one of my hardest, and I know that some people have that issue as well. How do you just stay grilled? Well, into this day and age now, we can't. But with all the social media going on, and trying to promote your books and trying to write one, how do you balance out that system where you can focus and say, I need to do this. I need to write this book and move on.
I actually kind of have. For me, it's like going to work. I get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. I allow myself up to no more than 2 hours on social media, drink coffee, have a sandwich, whatever, play around, say hi to everybody, do my Twitter, do my Instagram, do my Facebook, check out Pinterest for God knows what reason. And then, and my Vimeo channel and different things. And just make sure everything's there, answer emails, what have you. Then for me, I flip on YouTube. I've got these really cool headphones. I flip on YouTube. Find, some upbeat music, sometimes EDM, sometimes goth metal, sometimes Ukrainian folk ballads, whatever. I'm a huge fan of like Ghanese jazz, so whatever. But I'll put on some upbeat music, throw on the headphones, and then I zone out, and I'm just right for 4 or 5 hours, solid.
No, I'm stupid. What's Ghanese jazz? Just to give me a.
It's jazz. It's made in the country of Ghana. It's done usually with it's an acoustic guitar, an upright bass, a small trap kit. Very seldom vocals. The guitar pieces are really lightning fast. I mean, you hear these guys play it, it's like it's incredible stuff.
Cool. Okay.
I'm gonna have to check some of that out. My music that I listen to on any given day just depends on my mood. A lot of for years when I wrote, I listened to the Braveheart soundtrack just because it that instrumental and that Scottish sound. I don't know, for years that's what I did. But then here lately it's been 21 Pilots. I'm one of the last ones to ever learn about a band because I don't listen to the radio. I listen to my Apple Music and the stuff I like. And so I only found 21 Pilots about a year ago, and I listened to a lot of their music. I like the writing of the songs. I'm not a big heavy metal guy. I do like some old school Metallica. I don't really write with that because then I end up start singing along, and then I don't do any writing, And then I can't listen to old school country. That's what I grew up with. Don't like new country, but I grew up with old school country, and I can't listen to that because it's the same thing. I know all the songs, and then it makes me want to start drinking whiskey, and Meredith gets mad at me when I do that at 10 in the morning. But,
yeah, I actually have some old CDs of the Grand Ole Opry from like 1949, 1950, somewhere in there. So like Merle Haggard early in his career, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm a big fan. I grew up like you. I grew up on old country. I don't write it. I don't sing it. I don't play it.
Right.
But I like it.
Yeah. I had a Waylon Jennings cassette that was, I guess it was one of his first ones. They had a woman on the front of it. They wouldn't put his ugly ass on there. And I had it for years. It is, old school Wayland, but it had some, and I don't think it was Jesse that was on there. We got the avid Paul is already here. Bill, let everybody know again where you're at, how they can get that PDF so that they can be a beta reader. Give them all the rundown one more time, sir.
Yeah, real quickly, BillMcSciFi.com. Here, let me hold it up there to the thing. BillMcSciFi.com, or just punch Bill McSciFi into any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, doesn't matter. I'm the same on all of them. Hit me up. I will happily send you a PDF of Splice. It's violent. It's weird. It's the birth of a supervillain, and you haven't read anything like it. I can promise you that.
Well, I want to.
Meredith.
Bill, hey. And you're also going to be on a little bit later with
Yes,
the
I am.
ICC Independent Creators Connection. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
We got lots to do.
Well, Bill,
Lots to do.
I'm going to be hitting you up because I want to be a beta reader of that. And, that's something that I keep saying that I have to do is I've got to take at least 30 minutes to an hour in the evenings to read because otherwise I've got one of these devices in front of me and then my brain doesn't shut down when I climb into bed. You got a million things going. And I've just found that if I do read a little bit before bed, I seem to be more relaxed. I get a deeper sleep. But that's neither here nor there. I want to check it out, Bill. You got everybody, you can check back later for ICC with Bill as well, but check out BillMcSciFi.com. You can find him on social media, like he said. Bill, thank you again, sir. With these little, one thing that we learned from this con is that 15-minute increments just generally doesn't do it for most of our guests because we just kind of get into a flow and a rhythm, and about the time that we're really getting to go, the time is up. But we definitely appreciate you stopping by, Bill. We'll see you later this afternoon.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
You too. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And let's say I see Lucy and Paul are already here. And I know that a lot of folks over at Q, that is Cards, the Universe, and Everything, have been waiting on this. And hi, guys. Paul.
Hi. Hi, happy Easter.
We're already here.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. So glad you guys could join us. Lucy and I have met, several times. We've been talking over the past couple of weeks. Paul, she said nothing but bad things good things about you.
Yeah.
She is awful. Yeah.
I am just horrible.
And in case you guys couldn't tell from the accents, these guys are both from Boston. I mean,
Right.
they're across the
I
pond.
don't hear no Boston accent.
No Boston. But no, they're
No
across the
Boston.
pond over in the UK. And I tell you, I've been talking you up, guys, for weeks. I am a fan of the game. I have been since I first laid eyes on it. Not just because it is that battle kind of game like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, which I played both. Used to have a deck of Magic cards that would have probably made me rich if I'd have kept them because I could sell them now. But what initially attracted me to the game was the backs of the cards, because I just thought that was so unique that you guys include pertinent facts about the character of the card. And not only that, it literally is the universe and everything. So
I'm just going to pop that overlay up so people can have an idea of what it
Yeah,
kind of looks
look at
like.
that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
and
So,
Lucy, so in your words, they keep hearing me talk about the game. You're the social media guru for Q. So why don't you put it in your words? What is Q?
Q, Cards, the Universe, and Everything is just the most incredible app because not only can you have fun, but you're learning at the same time. And what can be better than that? So, you're going to be the most ideal dinner party guest because you will know the facts about anything and everything. Or if you're in a quiz, no one's going to beat you because you can play Q and you're learning anything from things about the bottlenose dolphin, red tree frogs, we've got giant scorpions. History, science is a big focus on STEM, so science, technology, all of that. We've got everything. It's basically a big learn-a-thon, but it's fun. It's fun as well, and it's competitive. And people are getting really competitive. And now we've got leagues.
Yes.
There's no stopping us or no stopping the players.
Yeah, and the leagues, man, if you snooze, you lose your place really quick because there are some serious folks going after those packs.
People are.
And I
Yeah,
was so happy.
we've had angry emails from people who just like woken up after literally, you know, they've gone to sleep at night, they're woken up in the morning. It's like, I've dropped 2 tiers. What's going on? That's how leagues work. Sorry.
And I was happily surprised. I guess it was this morning when I had dropped so far. I thought, oh crap, I'm not going to get anything. But then it started showing the other tiers because I was only seeing the first 3 tiers at first. And now that I've dropped so far, it's showing me those other tiers. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least I'll get something, you know, besides getting my butt kicked.
And how good are leagues during lockdown? You know, people are locked down, people are staying in. Now they're like, leagues, we don't want to go back out there because we need to stay on the app. We need to maintain our position in the leagues. Couldn't be a better time.
And it's funny because you guys really have, you know, the full spectrum of players, because I play during the day, or my day, with the players in the United States. And then about the time I'm going to bed or starting to go to bed, you guys over the UK are starting to get up. And so those players come in. And then so I'll find myself here, you know, 2 a.m. I'm going, well, I want to trade this card and I'm doing this. And my wife, I'm glad she's not in here right now because that could be a problematic game. I'm always, you know, she goes, you going to come watch TV? And I go, yeah. And I bring my tablet in there and I'm playing Q. But
under the covers with a torch. Just
OCD and Q go together like peanut butter and jelly because I have to get every single card. But Paul, sir, that new gold card, that thing can kiss my butt. I spent over $250,000 coins yesterday and didn't get one. You know what I did? I got mad and I traded someone a titanium for a gold because I had spent so much. And then somebody had a brag and they're like, well, I opened 1 pack and got one. I was like, oh
yeah. There's always someone that does that. And you know, whenever we hear things like that, our first instinct, I think this is quite a British reaction, our first instinct is panic. And we just think, oh, have we screwed up? Have we screwed up? And we go and we immediately run a simulation to check, have we screwed up? And most of the time, it's just someone's had really bad luck. Occasionally, like, you know, 1 in 20 times we have screwed up, in which case we have to fix it very quickly. But most of the time, it's just the odds. That's just probability. Probability sucks. We can all do without that.
It's luck of the draw, but that's what keeps it so exciting as well. It's what keeps people, you know, coming back and playing even more.
Right. And if you guys are new to the game or you haven't downloaded it yet, you're going to snooze on this one or lose on this one. But get the game, because those that are playing right now, I know that there are a lot of them that have been waiting for something a little special for their Easter, and you'll see something on my screen right now. And that is an official Q code, but you better run because there's only a limited number available. And so that kind of goes with that.
Get that myself.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, Paul. But yeah, it kind of goes with today's fusion with the Easter eggs that we have gotten over the last few days. You can fuse them if you've got 5 each into a Moai statue. But if you use this code right here, folks, then you can get some free swag on Q. And I do have, we gave a couple of codes yesterday, and then I've got this one.
They went really fast as well. I had a few people on Twitter straight away being like, how have they gone already? And I was like, were you watching it live? Were you watching VirtualCon live? I don't think you were. Get up.
Yeah, because I had it. I went onto our Twitter and I did retweet the first half of the code, and I said, if you want the second half, you better be watching.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I guess some people were expecting us to say it, and so they just had it playing in the background, and I rolled it across the screen on a banner.
You don't want them to multitask. You're like, no. What are you looking at me?
Well, and I didn't do that on purpose. It was just that there was a panel on at the time, and I had said, you better be tuned in the next 3 hours. And so I just scrolled it across the bottom. But you're right. They went really fast.
Right, Matt. You didn't do that on purpose.
No.
Everyone loves
No, actually, we did want people to pay attention. It's like, pay attention, guys. You know, keep keep an eye on things. But I have issues. I have issues with you guys because he's obviously not busy enough that he's playing Q all the time because I tell you, I mean, I don't know if he goes to the bathroom with it or, you know, what he's doing, but, you know, I spot check it. In fact, Q has actually replaced Candy Crush for me, and which is a lot, okay, because it's like the only game that I play anymore. And, you know, so when I do my playing and I see him out there, I'm like, what are you doing? Get back to work. Chop, chop.
I feel sorry for some of our devs. We've got one dev. This is the bank holiday Easter weekend, and he's been messaging me at sort of 6 a.m. this morning because he was reading some chats on Discord, you know, from some of the players. And it's like, guys, just take some time out. But actually, he's kind of addicted to the game himself, which is just as well because he's also the lead game programmer. So. Yeah, I worry about how he's actually going to get any kind of downtime at all. Maybe what he should be doing is coming on to Geek Insider and, you know, reading some articles to unwind. That's what he should be doing.
There you go.
I think the beauty of it is that it's not limited to just monsters or dinosaurs or bugs or anything like. I mean, it's literally everything, and so there's that wealth of just cards and content that you guys can keep streaming and make it interesting, and all those fusion cards and everything. So I mean, everybody who's listening, if you haven't downloaded the game, you know, go to it's compatible with iPhone and Android, correct?
Yes,
but
right.
no desktop version yet.
No,
Is
not
that
yet.
coming?
Yeah, it's probably going to end up coming, but that's going to be a longer term project. That'll be around Christmas this year, I think. So yeah.
So definitely, if you guys are listening, make sure that you get that on your iPhone or your Android. And you know, Matt, you do something special for some of the newbies.
I do. Not a lot of people know it, but I monitor the base camp, and whenever I see somebody that's not asking for a fusion ingredient, they're just asking for not even a limited card. If they're just asking for, you know, an oddball card that I have 50 of, I will not only go in and I look to see what they have doubles of, and I'll take one of the doubles and I'll load them up. And if they're newbies, and I don't really have a cutoff point. You know, they can have a fusion, especially if it's one of the newer ones that I know, you know, that they can work hard on. But it's just nobody with, you know, like 19 fusions like what I have. But and I don't just load them up with the commons. I try to load them up with some cards they can actually play, especially with the leagues going on. And that's something that I'm going to do today as well. I am going to be loading up one lucky newbie. They don't have to be present to win. This is going to be someone in game. I'm going to load them up with 4 fusions, and not 4. It's not going to be 4. It's not going to be 4 ligers. I promise you, it's not going to be 4 ligers.
Everyone's really got it in for the ligers.
And let me tell you something. As long as you don't have my name, he's not going to kick your butt, okay? Because I think he enjoys that way too much.
Well, it was funny. Right after we started playing the game, I was going in and did a match, and I was toying with this person. I didn't even look at their name, and I was like, let them get way ahead, and then I'd stomp them. And then after it was done, I saw her name, and I went, oh, shit, Meredith, I didn't realize that was you.
It's making and breaking friendships and relationships.
I was like, you dirty bastard.
And I didn't look at, because a lot of the times before everybody got on the same version, you know, I would be doing those that we play against the automated players because I was on the beta. And so I got in this habit where I wasn't even looking at the names, and still I'm having to retrain myself now because you're actually playing other people. And I had to change up my decks because, you know, I had the ones where I was like, I can beat the automated players, the bots with this deck. And then I get up against somebody that really knows what they're doing, and no, that deck sucks, man. You got to, and thank God you have the ability to build 10 decks. You know, I get these certain cards that I like. You know, of course, the French Hen and the Galamus together. You know, that's the one that is just brutal. But there's a lot of combinations out there that are getting even right there with it. I loved the Wild Bill Hickok and the playing cards. along with penicillin, which I guess Wild Bill probably needed some penicillin. But even
this is going to sound like the weirdest conversation to anyone who hasn't played the game yet. Wild Bill Hickok and penicillin. I mean, those two together.
Well, what's even better is Zeus with his thunderstorms with penicillin. Give Zeus some penicillin, and he's deadly. But that's what I mean, guys, is that the game it does have everything. You've got medicines, you've got science things, you have science things, you have like weight, turbo. God, there's so many cards, and they're adding more all the time. And that's one question that I had: has there been any thoughts about doing an actual card game? Not
don't we, Paul?
Yeah, it's something which keeps cropping up, and we would love to do something like that, but it would really need a lot of changes, because there's quite a lot of math that the app does for you, and if you actually have to figure it out yourself, it's like, okay, right, hang on a minute. You'd be like spending half an hour to calculate kind of how a turn works out, and there's things which you need to kind of bear in mind. So okay, right, I pulled this card on this turn, but was this card already in my hand when I pulled that? So those kinds of things are kind of left to the processor. So
I can insert that Stephen Wright joke that says, I played and it got a full house and 4 people died. Something like that.
Now, I know I've touched on this with Lucy, and then I've seen it a lot in the card suggestion chat. But so I got to ask Paul, because this is one, when I asked everybody, told them the devs were coming, one of the big questions is there going to be a way to recycle all these freaking extra cards that we have? Or I've seen somebody say dust them.
Yeah.
Is there going to be something?
So I can tell you where the conversation is at right now, because we're definitely going to do something with this. We're aware that people just building up loads of commons, and it's like they become almost demoralizing when you have these back. We're looking at dusting, but so dusting is exchanging the cards that you have for coins or for gems, and we'd like to do it for gems, but in order to do that, what we're planning on doing is you will dust a batch of cards. So if, for example, you have, I don't know, say 30 commons of one kind, then you'd be able to exchange the 30 for a certain number of gems. But if you want to hold on till you've got 50 of them, you can exchange them for a proportionately, more gems. And so there'll be a kind of an incentive to keep hanging on to them until you kind of think, right, now that's really worth cashing them in. So so that way, we think that we can make getting commons impacts an exciting thing again, which is what we'd like to get to.
Right, definitely. And it's kind of funny though. One thing that I'm seeing now more and more with the commons is folks starting to go and collect as many of a certain thing that they can. ATB, he collects the oddest ball yellow tang, and he requests one with every trade. And so whatever you're trading him, if it's fusion for fusion, you got to throw in a tang. And I have so many of the basking sharks because that's the one that I'll take from newbies 9 times out of 10, because they almost always have doubles of the basking shark. And I just wanted 2 of everything is what I want, as well as 1 of everything. And then I was like, shit, now I can't trade one of these. So now it's 2 of everything.
So you would be looking for a double of everything. Yeah. I remember there was a guy who really early on, straight after we launched, he just got like obsessively into it. I know he was also guilty of multi-accounting before we actually shut that down, but he got to 100 sea otters really quite quickly. And then with that next update, there was a glitch where the sea otter card just suddenly was removed. It just disappeared from the collections, and he completely freaked out. He's like, I've collected 100 of these, and now you destroy it. And anyway, we got it back in. But it's amazing how people kind of go, yeah, actually, I'm just going to set this mission for myself. I love that about the yellow tang, and getting 2 of everything. Great idea. It's like people have these little calling cards for how they play the game. So, yeah.
And
and sort of make the game what they want it to be, and sort of do a little sub thing. And that's what's so great about it. It's limitless.
Yeah, it is. Because the way that I've described it, in a lot of our voiceovers, if I can get this pulled up so I don't mess it up, is I say that it's a trading card collecting battle card game that has a little something from everything. And it really is. It's whatever you want it to be. You can go in there and just collect the cards and spend all day in the base camp trading and working it that way. You can build up your decks to battle against friends, just friends only, or you can go into the leagues. And it works different. The battles work differently both ways. The leagues, they'll have different rules every week, whereas if you just go battle head-to-head with a friend, the rules are there aren't no rules, basically. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, in the head-to-head, because you guys screwed up one of my favorite decks with making that not be able to go negative anymore.
Yeah.
So can that still be done head-to-head? I haven't checked. Or is that
no? That is a new it's a rule across the board. It freaked me out when I saw it as well. So it was a surprise internally, but you know, it does reframe things. So suddenly cards which you would never dream of playing, I think it's like Mir and Oda Nobunaga, the Japanese general, suddenly they become actually worth getting out and putting back into your deck. Right. So that's a fast rule that is staying now. There are other rules around energy per turn and so on. They're going to change each week, but the energy floor that's staying.
Okay, so why did it, with so many energy drain cards like the Scorpion Fly and all of those, what prompted this rule? Is it because there were the assholes like me that had the decks that kept people negative and we didn't have to do anything really other than take people negative? Or was there some other...
I couldn't possibly comment, Matt.
No comment.
Some people are really cruel.
Yeah,
they are. It's tough especially if you're a newer player, if you haven't kind of clocked that strategy, you just find that you just pinned against the wall right from the start. So hopefully it limits a bit of that. Sorry, it does kind of suck some of the fun out of it for yourself. But you understand.
Well, you know, you just have to rework those decks, and that's kind of one thing that I do like is that things are. There's no way that you can make the one end-all be-all deck with, you know, you can think that you have every best card in the game, but it's a luck of the shuffle for you, a luck of the shuffle for your opponent, and you know there's new cards all the time, and so you know the koala. Everybody wants the koala bear. It was another one that I ended up just saying, screw it, I'm trading for because I've spent too many gems on this thing, and I still didn't get it. But then, no, excuse me, the koala I actually pulled out of like the third pack. And
good.
And then I was like, oh, it's so easy to pull. I traded it away. Then I had to overpay to get another one. But and that was just my luck. And I should have known, you know, it was a legendary limited legendary. So I should have known that it was just my lucky day. I wasn't going to have to spend 100 coins or 100 gems on trying to get it. But is there anything that is upcoming? I know we just had the big change. You know, us guys that were on beta, we checked out leagues for weeks and checked out the bugs. And when we got that, everybody's on the same page now. So what's next? Is there anything that's on the horizon other than, you know, keeping the cards pumping and keeping Lucy busy right in the backs of them? Or
we've got quite the roadmap is kind of packed. So we know all the things we've got to do by pretty much the end of the year. It's just the order keeps shifting around where we suddenly go, actually, that's really important. So one of the things which we're really conscious of is the fact that some people, they just don't like to pay any money in the game, and that's absolutely fine. And we want to make sure we've done, I think, pretty well so far, and people don't feel that it's a pay to win game.
Right.
But we know that when we put out these codes for gems, we're always kind of it's always in danger of being that, and we don't want it to ever feel like that. So we need to give people ways to earn gems. So we're doing something which we're going to be putting video ad rewards into the game, so that people who really, I would prefer to just watch a bunch of ads in order to get gems, they can do that. So it's not it's not a decision we took lightly. We're not going to put any ads in which anyone has to watch, because I can't stand apps like that.
Right.
But we just wanted to make sure there's a way for people who, maybe they just don't have any money, or they just, for whatever reason, don't want to ever
Right.
buy gems. There's going to be a way for them to get gems. So that should increase. I'm hoping that increases the pool of competitive players for everyone. So we've got that. We've got themes coming in, which is going to be a bit of fun. So you'll be able to actually theme your app experience around, perhaps like a particular animal or a particular sort of historical event.
Cool.
And that will give you special taunts and emojis that you can use in games, just to try and make it a bit more social, So.
And Andrew asked a really good question here, and I'm glad he brought it in. Will we ever be able to trade up to 4 of the same card, or will it only always be you can only trade one Therizin in that trade? You have to do multiple trades.
So it's a very good question, and it's a question that the engine, the trading engine that we have, is quite a unique thing, and it's capable of some very, very complex trades. We did some work going back about 3 years ago with the NBA with Panini, and there's a guy who we have unlimited trading on that, and we had a guy who was absolutely furious with customer service because he actually took a day off work to build a trade of over 1,000 cards, and the game crashed after he'd passed the 1,000 card mark when he was building up this trade, and he lost the trade. He didn't lose the cards. He just, all of that work building up this trade was lost. And, there was a part of me that wanted to say, what were you thinking? But of course, we'd enabled that. We'd said, there's no cap on this. And so whenever there's something like this, there's always a trade-off between, what you can do theoretically and what is practical for the vast majority of users. So by keeping it to, you just got these slots and you get 1 card in each slot, it keeps it simple for everyone. But I know that we're going to keep getting this pressure to add multiples, and I think we're bound to revisit it at some point. But it's a question of balancing, what a few people would really, really like with the kind of what makes it really easy to understand for everyone else.
Well, and I really don't think that we have to have the ability to trade more than 4 cards, but if we could trade 4 of the same card, like I could trade 4 biofusions to Andrew, and he could give me, 4 sloths or whatever we're doing there.
When you're trading for fusions, it's so much easier, isn't it, when you do it like that? Yeah. Okay, right. Pen, I'm writing that down, okay?
He means business now. He's writing it down.
Andrew is clearly listening. Noted, Andrew. It's noted, okay?
Fantastic. Andrew is great. Lucy, Andrew is the one that did that card that I showed you.
Yeah, that's so good. So
the
good.
Geek card.
Yeah.
And still hopeful that that's going to make the rounds, and we might see the geek inside the game, but we'll have to wait and see.
It's a great community. It's so many great players. It's great, the sort of feedback and the conversations and engagement we're getting on social media and in Discord. It's just a really great community, and that's something that we just want to grow and keep doing the videos and keep engaging people on Twitter. And we started doing all the Q quizzes on Twitter as well, so people can use the knowledge from their cards to answer the quiz questions. We've mocked up a sort of 70s style quiz studio, which you've probably seen, and then they can win gems. And so it's just sort of taking the game and just having some fun with it, which I think people are really enjoying. So
now, Meredith and I have, from almost the moment that we met you guys, we have been whispering back and forth because we of course have a lot of contacts in a lot of different places, but we used to work with another platform that dealt in cryptocurrency. And is there any thoughts to being able to accept crypto in game for gems or packs, or anything? Because there's the reason that I ask is there's an easy way to do it with a company that we know, and so I just didn't know if that was anything that y'all thought about.
Well, no, not really. I mean, we've talked about blockchain quite a lot, because as soon as you're dealing with trading collectibles, then blockchain is obviously as a kind of platform. It's something which you need to consider. But actually, accepting crypto is not it's not something that we've really discussed internally. So you know, I guess I'd be really interested to have a conversation around it and understand the merits of it. And you know, we have a couple of people who really understand cryptocurrency internally. And then you got me, so you're speaking to the wrong guy right now. But but to understand kind of what's the benefits of, you know, going down a sort of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and is it an either or kind of thing, or that nearly landed on my head. You know, that was very, very close.
That is
Matthew, you laid an egg.
Yep, I laid an egg. That's only half of the code, though. If you are watching right now, you've got half of the code. I'll flash it up there again in a minute.
It's such a tease.
Yeah,
I just one of those things.
What was that, Meredith?
Well, I was going to say, like, one of the things with blockchain, I'm not a professional, I'm not a dev or anything like that, but it's just when you have the collectibles and things, and you can associate it to a blockchain address, you know, so that it's unique. It has its own unique address, and you know, people know where it came from, and that timestamp and things of either when it was created or when you bought it and things like that. There are a lot of interesting ways that you could do it. And, you know, again, I'm not a blockchain person, but it might be something that you guys think about, you know, as far as collecting, especially the legendary, you know, the bigger, more rare cards.
And we can definitely see about
Write
it down. We could definitely see about getting a handshake going between you guys, between the folks that Meredith and I know, and just kind of maybe getting that conversation started with the right people over there.
At least a Q&A, yeah.
Yeah,
That would be very cool.
because you know, I don't see anybody dropping, you know, Bitcoin on some gems, but I could definitely see them doing some Ether or some XRP. God,
Yep.
I totally lost my train of thought. XRP.
No, you had it right, XRP.
Yeah, there's a lot of those littler ones that even I would do, you know, that just because of having someplace new to spend it. You know, there's still not all of those avenues, those venues where folks can spend their cryptocurrencies. And so it's just something that I wanted to bring up.
No, definitely. I want to look into it more. And what I'm going to, instead of reading all the other Geek Insider articles and skipping over the ones which have cryptocurrency, I'm going to start reading those ones as well, so I understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those are done by another friend of ours from that same platform. I brought my own crew with me over to Geek Insider, but Alan Daniel, he's the one that I defer to on tech stuff and crypto stuff. I know enough about crypto to be dangerous to myself and my bank account, and that's about the extent of it. And I can write about it. I did write a book on Ethereum a couple of years ago. I didn't know crap about it at the time, but I researched it, and somebody paid me to do it, so I did a book on Ethereum. I couldn't tell you much about Ethereum at this point, but but anyway, off of cryptocurrency, back over to Cards, the Universe, and everything. You know, again, folks, if you haven't done so, hit your app store. You want to download Cards, the Universe, and everything. But a big thing, and I prodded Lucy the other day, and I told her and I have to communicate better, because one thing that I didn't know until I went to cardstheuniverseandeverything.com was you guys have this special deal for educators right now because of COVID. And I just, again, that was another thing that just made me really proud to be associated and partnered with you guys. But it showed me that, you know, my initial impression of you all was correct, because y'all are trying to make it to where, you know, you're not trying to get rich off of this. You're not trying, like you said earlier, Paul, you're not forcing people to watch ads every time we log in. You're not forcing those that you absolutely, you know, can't spend money, whether they're 12 and mom won't give them, you know, the credit card to get some gems. They still have an opportunity to get those exact same cards. It's not a pay to play. You can pay, but if you pay, you end up like me with every card, and then you still get your butt kicked. So you have to learn to play as well, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just go out there and get every card and think that you're going to whip everybody. Oh, there we got a couple of good questions there. MJ asked if there's going to be any World War II cards.
This has come up quite a bit on Twitter on the poll.
Yeah.
This has come up repeatedly. Yeah.
It's a really weird combination of things which people seem to be particularly keen on seeing, which is something around sort of World War II, World War I, war machines, tanks, that kind of thing, and burritos. I don't know if there's some kind of overlap there, but it's like, you know, I want foodstuffs, I want burgers and burritos. It's like,
People really
so
want
yeah.
they want a burrito legendary.
I think there's bound to be some World War stuff in there. I mean, you know, I always find it. You know, is there something dispiriting about the World Wars? But as long as we can kind of capture the positive, because we want it to be an inspirational app, we want it to be a you know, something which kind of gets people excited about the real world and excited about history, and so I think it's we have to sort of tackle the World Wars in there and do so in an inspirational way. That's not just about, you know, hey, this thing was really good at killing things. You know, it's got to be something above and beyond that.
Yeah.
We had a conversation in Discord the other day, me and a couple of the folks did, and we were kind of throwing those ideas around, and I was like, you know, one thing that I would kind of suck would have to be going, I'm looking for Hitler card. But then I was like, because I would have to have it, you know, I would have to have a collector.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have the Mad Monarchs, you know, we have people that have killed a lot of people. And so would that you know, would we not touch on Hitler because it's Hitler, or would Q stay with history, and would there be a Hitler card?
It's a great question, and I think I'm not up on my constitutional law, but is it taking the fifth?
You can plead the fifth.
I'm gonna take the fifth.
Yeah, there are so many things, you know, whether it's you know, like the generals or the tanks, airplanes, you know. But going back to the burritos thing, I'm confused about that. But there was one. I'm just gonna pull this up again because I thought it was hysterical. I didn't read it before I did my screenshot when I put this up here, so I want to read it for anybody who can't you know, who can't see it. It says, West Indian manatees make use of flatulence as a buoyancy aid. Simply when they fart, they dive deeper underwater. And I was like, what? All right. Well, I mean, I guess if you fuse that with burritos, hey, you got a great card.
A superpowered manatee, yeah.
There's a good combos there.
Good point. Yeah, you know, we when we were doing cards, we were kind of coming up with quite serious kind of abilities, and then it was when we had tornado, and we were like, let's do something with sharks, and that was kind of the first time that we did something really stupid with the special abilities, and we've done a lot more kind of dumb abilities, just having a bit of fun with it since then. But yeah, definitely burrito powered manatee. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want that?
That's the dream.
That's the ultimate combo right there.
Combo city. You don't get better than that.
And for
Matt laid another egg here.
Yep, I laid another egg. That's the second half of the code. You better go quick. There's only a limited number available. But if you were paying attention to the first half, here's the second half of the Q code.
All right. Happy Easter, guys. Yeah, you got to jump on those quick.
Yeah.
Very much so. And folks are quick with those codes too, man.
So quick.
I learned that the hard way on y'all's Twitter. You know, when y'all mean fastest five, y'all seriously mean fastest five.
Yeah. It's like within 20 seconds and they're gone. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'll delete that because otherwise it's unfair because people will see it. And then, but it was literally, I think the other day within something like 8.3 seconds, it was ridiculous because I think people are getting the notifications and they've got it loaded up and then it's becoming super, I mean, they're so competitive and I'm just like, oh, it's really bad.
I don't even bother. I can't take the pressure. Because I always miss out. I always always miss out on the timed things, you know, and people are so quick because I mean, they're literally waiting for these things. I really believe that they're sitting on their phones going, all right, I'm getting ready to hit the button. And, you know, so I don't stress out because I never get them. So I'm like, have fun, guys. You know, I mean, this is not the competitive fight that I'm in for right now.
I know, because I thought when we did the 5 use ones, it would go a little bit longer, but no, it was just zoom out the door. It's great.
We are just about out of time here. If you guys can just reiterate where we can find you, a little bit more about the card. I'm going to do the overlay again so people can see. You know, make sure you guys download it. Let me just pop that in here. And then we are going to get Rob in here. He's got a panel for convention prep, and he's gonna take over. But let me just pop this in here again. If I can find, there we are.
There it is.
Yeah, if you could.
So, Cards University,
just
this is the app you want to be playing. You can get fantastic knowledge. You can be competitive. You can play with friends, families, make trades. You'll be a great dinner party guest. You'll win all the quizzes. You will learn
all your dreams will come true.
You will learn about manatee flatulence, and you might get a giant burrito card one day. So that's it. You're living the dream. QCardGame.com. Download today, and happy Easter.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, guys. Really appreciate it.
And happy Easter, and it's great to.
Good luck with the rest of VirtualCon.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks so much for y'all. Thanks for coming, guys. We look forward to
Take care. Bye.
Twitter and everywhere else. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Geek Out VirtualCon, the replay, with our special guests, Bill McCormick. He's a sci-fi author and assistant editor for ICC Independent Creators Connection magazine. He was followed by Lucy Saxton-Quinn, head of marketing, and Paul Mayze, the managing director at Avid Games. And they were here to talk about Q, Cards, the Universe, and Everything. But there's more. Be sure to tune in to the Geek Insider podcast, available on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and tell all your friends. Because if you don't, you might have to turn in your geek card.